Hello and welcome back to the Winning Agenda's coverage of the online Last Chance Qualifier for the SANSAN circuit. I'm Jesse Marshall and with me is Sam Woodland.
Hello.
So Sam, we've got another criminal and NBN matchup. I think we're doomed to watch this all day except for that Argus game we saw. But this time it's controlling the message of our job again with another Gabriel on the runner side from Inactivist.
So it's a mirror match if everybody understands their Mortal Kombat fighting.
Yes, I'm sure that we've got a lot of Mortal Kombat fans in the audience today. So Gabriel and controlling the message, how do you feel about this matchup compared to the Gabe Sync matchup we saw just before? Is there anything better or worse or anything you'd like to see in this particular Gabe deck?
I think it'll be reasonably similar. I like the matchup. Again, like whenever you're playing any NBN any controlling the message or any sync deck, you need to keep ahead of them on credits, and if you can do that, you usually do reasonably well. Alright, so we've seen a run and a resist to res, which isn't too terribly bad for Gabe, but Gabe will be able to bounce now. If he has a special order, he'll be able to tutor for his barrier breaker and then get in. We'll see if he's going to do that though. No, he's just going to have a poke around at R&D. Oh, and he scored a GFI off the bat. That is a very good start for Gabe. He's just going to have to be very careful not to get tagged now.
Yeah, just going to have to hope that though neither of those two cards in play are breaking users, which they weren't. Because we could have seen an advance exchange of information, which would have been a good start. But the double commercial bankers group is also a great start. This particular Gabe deck that's being played by Luke does have the one of networking. So it is possible that that's sitting there in hand, which would be very, very useful for combating this, controlling the message spam.
Alright, so our job has streamed ahead of him on credits. So now that leaves Gabe in a vulnerable position because he has to go trash those commercial banker groups, which will then bankrupt him. And then it leaves him very open to a hard-hitting use. So this is the power, as we have seen all day, of the NBN decks and hard-hitting use. It is just so powerful.
So we are seeing from Luke here the trashes on the commercial bankers group, which I think, as we've noted in the first two rounds where this hasn't happened, this is absolutely the right way to combat this deck. Unfortunately, our job has already got up to 17 credits this time, so it's not sort of keeping him down on the sub 10 level, but at least stopping that development so we're not going to see 60, 80 credits.
Yeah. He needs to run and trash that other one and then remove the tag. And if hard-hitting news comes, so be it, but it's definitely the correct play.
And you require out of those three cards in your opponent's hand for one of them to be the hard-hitting news, so you know, playing the percentages there for sure.
Right, so he's drawing, so he's probably looking for it. It's installed. Now this will be it. No, he didn't have the hard-hitting news, so that's very good news for Inactivist.
So if we'd seen, I mean, it's interesting to analyse, if we'd seen a Soul Set Slums come down early to deal with these bankers groups, it would just be so hard for that controlling the message player to recover from losing two bankers groups.
Yeah. Now I would just clicking for credits. Okay.
Yeah, we've got draw, John Mass, and gain a credit.
I'm going to discard. Taking a while, so sneak door beta. Okay, so
what's this? It's a Sensi. Yeah, I'm just so reluctant to let them fire any of those political assets ever. I almost feel like it's better to just fight them for those.
Yeah, they're
early on in the game.
They're so dangerous. You're right. Even the can be so such a tempo hit. And you really want to be checking them, and everybody seems to, all these controlling the message decks seem to be running 3 of each, and so you need to almost just check every asset that they put out for that specific reason. The only one you can really let stay is Pad, and Jackson, and that's situational.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. It's just crazy to think that commercial bankers group gains you 3 times as many credits as Pad.
Yeah.
Pad's already, fine, but having 3 times that power level is just off its head.
All right, so he's icing up all his servers, just getting set up. He's in a nice position here. Gabe, he needs his Desperado. Like, he needs a Tiananmen contract. We'll see what he can get.
Tiananmen contract.
What is it?
Temujin. Yeah, not going to make any comments about Tiananmen contracts. The difficult thing for both of these Gabe players has been that, as you say, they haven't hit their Desperado. They haven't really got any sort of engine going whatsoever.
No. And, like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, Gabe, or all criminals need their Desperado, and they need to see it early. And if they don't, it really puts them behind.
Yeah, having no consistent way to deal with this asset spam has really set both of these decks back.
Yeah.
Or even to really deal with ice early. So I'm not sure about how these Gabriel decks have performed so far in this tournament. In the current meta, it seems like they're...
Well, I would say they've been extremely underwhelming.
So let's see whether Gabe can catch up here. We've got 2 ice to fend off the inside job. We've got an install behind it with 4 credits and no breakers in play on the runner side. That seems like it's going to be pretty hard to get through. So finally getting rid of that Sensi after 2 turns of use. Which again, as we said earlier, getting one use out of them is enough. Getting 2 or more is just escalates by some incredible factors in terms of how far ahead you get.
Now, is he just going to res another one in server 5?
Yeah, probably, Fisk Investment Seminar has been trashed, which is, again, good because I feel like that's exactly the card you don't want to be playing against these sorts of decks. It's just like firing their Sensi for them again.
It's such a bad card. Like, I don't know. It's too situational. Don't include it. And he's throwing out his Gordian Blade, which presumably he can't recur. So that's an interesting
some important
one.
Cards in hand.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see a little bit of focus here, but again, that's the problem with playing against these sorts of controlling the message decks, is they don't allow you to focus as runner. It would be nice to see a plan developing around, well, I'm going to try and siphon you in the next couple of turns, get some economy going, get a Temujin contract happening, get my engine underway, but at the moment it's...
Even running server 6 with only 1 credit, what's he trying to achieve? Like, if it is a Sensi or if it is a commercial bankers group, he can't trash it. So
I think it's just for the John Mass draw, just get some information and the draw. We don't know what was seen there, but the runner just saw whatever that is in server 6. Gained 2 credits and now maybe going to run it. Or may just be looking to...
You'd have to float the tag.
So this is still not quite at the point where you'd write off the runner. And the Desperado definitely helping. I mean, that's now a professional contacts click every turn on that pad. The Gabe can just run, gain a credit and draw a card.
Are we going to see an exchange of information?
No, so it's a 15 minutes, luckily, not a breaking news. But this one could well be the breaking news. There are 3 in the deck. We're already a quarter of the way through, or more. So Gabe's again
Gabe's
drawing.
Still drawing.
Yeah.
He's running to draw a card, get some credits. He's just trying to recover as best as he can, but it's going to be... It's hard. It's going to be very hard for him. He knows what that server is.
Yeah, in these sorts of situations, I actually don't really like seeing cards being drawn on the runner side. I prefer to see credits being gained and cards being played, because I think you draw cards, you discard other cards, like we saw Gordian Blade being pitched, and that's certainly not an irrelevant card, and you're just losing resources. Whereas if you're gaining credits and actually developing your board, you're at least getting somewhere.
Yeah. See now, paperclip being discarded. That's a good one to discard because it doesn't hurt you.
But losing the legwork, unfortunate.
Yeah, he wasn't getting into HQ anytime soon. And,
No.
And the runner and the corp only had one card up until this point. So it looks like he ran service 6 to try and bait him into using the Jackson. But the corp player was smart enough to go, you know what, if you want to trash that, go ahead.
Oh gosh, Fisk Investment Seminar.
Yeah.
After discarding legwork,
All you're doing is
making it more likely that you're going to get hard-hitting news next turn. Yeah.
hard-hitting news or exchange of information, because there is a double advance card in that server. Now, is that the breaking news, or is it a global food initiative? Now,
Either way, I think it's pretty bad news for the runner player here.
yeah. It's worse news if it's a...
Oh, I mean, even that, gain of credits, sure gamble, when you've got a double advance card on the table, could easily be score breaking news closed accounts you.
yeah. Does have a lot of cards, though. So the Fisk Investment Seminar and then the mandatory draw does mean he'll be discarding down to quite a few cards in archives.
With the Jackson on the table, though.
Yeah. Right, so it's an overscored Beal.
Wow.
All right, so he's got a 3-point Beal now.
So there are 3 Fisk Investment Seminars in this deck.
Is he running Rumour Mill?
Yes.
Okay, so this could be interesting. If he decides to ditch some cards now, the runner has an opportunity to play Rumour Mill and then check archives. Now that could be quite beneficial to him. That could throw a spanner in the works of the corp. So this is potentially a mistake that Arjob would be making, but I believe Arjob is aware of that play, and he would probably use the Jackson now if he was throwing anything away.
Are we going to see the Rumour Mill here? Third click and then the run?
No, he's just running the Jackson.
So sorry, that I said earlier there are 3 Fisk Investment Seminars. There's only 2 in this deck, but there are 2 Rumour Mills, so it would have been nice to see one of those come down there. None in the bin so far. It's interesting the way that cards like Paperclip affect the metagame, because as an Anarch card, it is certainly good in Anarch and it makes them more resilient, but one of the issues with Crim has always been the resilience of your breakers to trashing and program destruction. And it's funny that having a card like Paperclip enter the metagame has actually made these Crim decks a lot more resilient.
Yeah, that's true. It's allowed them to be a lot less vulnerable to net damage and meat damage. Because typically, like if a criminal player had a breaker in hand and didn't have an answer to every piece of ice that was out, often they couldn't run until they played that breaker. Now, with Paperclip being able to be played from archives, it opens them up to being a lot more flexible, which is exactly what criminal needs. Would have been awesome if that was in faction, so they could have a barrier breaker in their own faction that could do that, but not to be. Alright, so we're seeing a hard-hitting news come down now, which is going to be, that's pretty bad news for Gabe. So next turn we could be seeing an exchange of information, could be seeing closed accounts. It'll be interesting to see if Gabe tries to get rid of the tags now or just decides to go tag me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, running this pad is okay, I suppose, but I would like to see a bit more aggression. I'm not sure what the multi-access cards are in this Gabe deck. I'll have a look, but you really need, when you're already on 2 points, that are about to be taken away from you by an exchange of information next turn. You really got to try and win in the one turn.
I reckon he'll have turning wheel, but that takes a long time to be able to set up. And I think he has discarded a turning wheel as well.
Yeah, so we've got 2 turning wheel and 2 legwork.
Yeah, and I believe there's a turning wheel in the bin, and I think there's a legwork in the bin too.
You are correct. 1 turning wheel, 1 legwork in the bin.
All right, so he's running HQ. It's going to be costly for him to get around this resistor, and the Corp was not running rezzing his outermost piece of ice, so that's unusual. Given he's on 19 credits, I thought he probably would have done it, but maybe he's just not concerned about what's in head.
Possibly wants to make the runner actually spend the credits on this resistor. Because 4 to install paperclip. Plus 3.
You can still do that mid-round.
Yeah.
Alright, so they're just having a chat now. I think it's a bit of a timing issue they're trying to work out.
This is going to take a minute to manually override these issues.
Alright, here we go.
I think the runner needs to add 1 more click.
Does paperclip cost a click to install?
It doesn't when you do it from the bin, but because the manual workaround they did was to return it to hand and then install it, it would have subtracted a click automatically.
Yeah. Can you install paperclip in the mid-run?
Yeah, so it happens when you encounter the barrier.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So he didn't actually need to jack out and do all that again manually.
No.
He just could have just done it.
So accessed a Sensi Actors Union. Gained a few credits, but you'd think probably not enough to get into R&D twice, although you never know. But even then, with no multi-access, there's going to be no value to running on R&D twice.
Yeah, that's right. He needs to do something though, so he's just taking some credits there. I agree with you. I probably would have run R&D just to see. Because you're about to lose your GFI, one would assume.
And that'll put the opponent to 6 points. But at least if you'd run R&D twice and say you had been lucky and hit 2 2-pointers, you'd at least be in a position where you can win the following turn, conceivably. Whereas right now it looks like something is... Oh, no tag punishment. Very lucky for the runner there.
Yep.
No closed accounts, no psychographics, no exchange of information. So it does give the runner some small hope, however slim.
Alright, so what's Gabe going to come up with? What can he do?
Got to run R&D first click, I think.
No, gaining credits, siphon. Now we might see the res to deny.
Yeah, I don't think this is particularly high impact at all.
Well, it's just going to give him some money, and it's only going to make the resistors harder to break because presumably he won't be clearing the tags.
Yeah.
Enigma. Yep, he can break that.
I would have liked to have seen a first click run on R&D there. Yeah, I'm not really sure, given that closed accounts is a thing and there are 2 closed accounts in his opponent's deck, that gaining a whole lot of money is really going to be the answer.
Unless he plans on spending it this turn with his last click.
Possibly a blackguard.
What's he going to do with all this money?
Inside job.
7-4. Yep, okay. So he avoids the data raven. It's good.
Continues along. Into a toll booth.
Bang.
There you go. Well, that you use a bit of that money, but not too much.
You can't break that.
Because, the breaker's quite useless. So that could be the game.
He's just taken another tag from John Masanori, so he's up to 7 tags. The resistors are getting very, very tough to break.
And we could see... No? Okay. Interesting. I thought we were going to see sort of a advanced score breaking news, exchange of information, win the game, but...
On the plus side, the Corp player is now only down to 5 credits. So... He is vulnerable to siphon, and you could keep him low.
Crazy thing is, though, Sammy, that exchange of information does cost 0 after all.
That's true, yeah. But if he can get in, he could emergency shut down the toll booth.
He could. And
then he could get into server 4. Because I wouldn't mind betting that there is still an agenda sitting there. So, is he running emergency shutdown?
I think he does have one in the deck. I'll just double check. Yeah, he's got the one-off shutdown.
Okay, so there's a window for him.
Which hasn't been pitched into the bin. Could have used the same old thing on it, but... Oh dear.
That's just scored a QPM. Very cheeky of him, just putting it out there, just to let him eat it up.
Oof. Yeah, QPM pretty nasty in this deck. I mean, it just really narrows the opportunity for the runner to win the game between Global Food Initiative, that's a point they miss out on, and QPM, that's another 3 points they miss out on. So 3 from GFI, 3 from QPM. Really means that the runner's fighting for an effective 14 points.
Yeah, so he's just special ordered for the FEM, which will presumably be used on the toll booth, but I think it's all gravy at this stage because the game is just about to be finished. Yep.
And that is the game. So well played to Arjob once again with the controlling the message win there. And bad luck to Luke Inactivist for quite a tough game as Gabe, which he fought through quite well.
Yeah, like considering the position he was in, he played as well as he could have. But yeah, the controlling the message, it just seems to be an amazing idea at the moment, and one that's very, very tough to beat. So he'll have to come up with some workarounds for that.
Right, well, we hope you enjoyed our coverage of the Gintechie.net SANSAN Circuit Qualifier. For those of you who have qualified, good luck in the finals. And for those of you watching along, thank you for tuning in. I've been Jesse Marshall for The Winning Agenda, here with Sam Woodland.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.